gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the 16th edition of School of Tomorrow events, Guardians of the Future, Shaping Tomorrow with Generative AI. The non-profit School of Tomorrow event series was launched by Beacon House in year 2000 to engage global communities in conversations that shape the future of schools and societies. I would like to thank Google for Education and their partner Tech Valley, the lead sponsor for School of Tomorrow 2023, and our titanium sponsor United Bank Limited. Other key sponsors include My Backpack, MK Books, Allied Bank Limited, Franklin Covey, Habib Bank Limited, Watheen, and Interwood. We also thank our School of Tomorrow supporters, including Paramount Books and Nestle Pure Life, who have contributed to this year's event. My name is Mohammed Qasim, and I am an IGCSE and A-Levels mathematics teacher at Beacon House, Potoha campus, Islamabad. Please take a moment to note these important housekeeping points. Please ensure your cell phones are on silent. In case of an emergency, the exit point is located at the back of this hall. You may use the staircase opposite to this hall. In case if it is blocked or packed, you may use the one on the right-hand side. Always stay calm and follow directions. Please use the SOT app to scan the QR code for session question answer and feedback. Share your thoughts on social media using the hashtags, hashtag Guardians of the Future and hashtag SOT2023. If you need assistance, our ushers are here to help. For questions, please either use flashcards provided by the ushers or the mobile app. Each talk will last for about 10 minutes, followed by 5 minutes for question and answer. I would like to invite the first speaker of the session, Mr. Gavin McCormack, a co-founder of Upschool.co, empowers students with real entrepreneurship skills. With over 20 years of Montessori-trained teaching experience, he's passionate about innovative education. As a Montessori Australia ambassador and a TEDx speaker, Gavin has built schools, authored books, and received recognition as a top educator. He is open to global collaborations to bring about positive change in education. Mr. Gavin.
Here we go. Yes. Hi, everybody. Gavin McCormack here, tuning in from Australia. We're here in Sydney. This is my niece, Sophie. Say hello.
Hello.
Sophie wanted to join me here today to talk to you. Now, I know I have 10 minutes to share a story with you, but we are privileged to be able to share one with you. Now, I'm a Montessori teacher, and I believe in something which I think is very important, and that is to give children a chance to prove that they have the ability to change the world. And today I'm going to tell you a story about 4 girls who did exactly that. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Bear with me for just a second. Here goes. Okay. Let me do my slideshow. And from the beginning. So my slide today and my talk is about it takes a child to raise a village. And the understanding is that it's a play on the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I believe, me and Sophie believe, that actually the child has the power, the key to be able to do that raising for themselves. And if you watch children very carefully, then they will prove to us just how powerful they are. This is me. My name is Gavin McCormack. I'm the Montessori Australia ambassador and the co-founder of Upschool.co, an online education platform that gives free education to children all around the world. This is my school community. These are my children. These are my teachers, and these are my parents. And today I'm going to be talking to you about how they managed to change the world in their very own way. Now, around about 12 years ago, I was very honored to be able to visit Nepal in the Himalayas. And when I arrived in Nepal, I met some children in the street. As you can see in the top corner, there are 5 or 6 children in the street. They wanted to take photos with me, and they wanted to tell me about where they lived. They then proceeded to take me to their school. In the bottom right corner, you can see a picture of their school. And you may be thinking, Gavin, is that really a school? Let me tell you, it is a school. But it actually looks like a prison cell. There's no shelves, no carpets, there's no books, no pencils, there's nothing. Just children sitting on a dirty floor. Well, I wasn't happy with their school, and I thought I wanted to do something about it. So I came back to Australia and I told my students in my school that I'd found a school in Nepal that had no resources, no shelves, no pens, no books, no nothing. My children in my school decided they wanted to help. And what they did was they started collecting materials, pencils, books, games, anything you can dream of that the school needed. They brought them into school until they had brought in 15 suitcases filled with everything you can possibly dream of. And I promised them that I would take these things to Nepal and I would fix up the school on their behalf. So over the next 6 weeks, I flew to Nepal and I met the children again. I went to their school. We painted the walls. We put new carpets in. We put things on the shelves. And then we opened the school. We put children with new clothes on. We painted spaceships, rockets, planets on the wall. We even gave the children new clothes. And it was a wonderful celebration. When I got back to Australia, this was all in the newspapers. In almost every single newspaper in Australia, they were talking about the work that we had done. But it doesn't just stop there. I went back to school and I met with some of the girls in my school. These are some of the girls who were in my school in year 5. They're about the same age as Sophie, who's sitting next to me. And they found that they realized that when they were studying Myanmar or Burma, that there were going to be children in Burma who were going to be arriving in Australia as what's called refugees. Now, refugees are people who leave a country because they are too scared to stay where they live. And they were going to be arriving in Australia, and we wanted to take care of them. So the girls in my school made a PowerPoint presentation, and they persuaded 3 mums to help them on their mission. They had a plan. What they wanted to do was they wanted to raise $500, and with the $500, they wanted to buy some backpacks, give them to the families in my community, and ask them to fill them up with everything that the refugees would need on their first day arriving in Australia. So the first day involved the girls making a PowerPoint presentation and persuading the mums to help them. Now, the second thing they did is once they'd had the bake sale and raised the $500, they then bought the backpacks. And in the backpacks, they made a list of things they wanted the parents in my community to collect from their house and put inside their backpack. It was amazing. And they proved that when they work together, anything can be easy. The next day, they put a table outside the school. And as the mums and dads walked past the school to drop off their little children, bringing them to the preschool and the play school and the parent group, they told the parents, "Did you know what's happening in Myanmar? Did you know that refugees are arriving in our community? And did you know how you can help? Take one of these backpacks home to your house, fill it up with pencils, fill it up with rulers, fill it up with shoes, because we are going to give them to these children when they arrive in Australia to make them realize that somebody cares about them." 3 weeks later, all of the backpacks arrived in school, filled with pencils, books, shoes, dictionaries, sun cream, lunchboxes, cagoules, jackets, rulers, teddy bears. Everything was in these bags. They had achieved 80% of their goal. But there was one big problem. And the problem was that the backpacks were in our school, but they needed to travel 6,000 kilometers to another city called Darwin, where the refugees were going to arrive. And I told the girls, "You haven't quite achieved your goal yet." No problem. They went to my office and they used the telephone. And I said, "Why do you need the telephone, girls?" They said, "We want to call 2 of the biggest charities in Australia and invite them to our school to interview them." I said, "Why would you want to interview them?" They said, "We want to ask them for their help, but we want to only choose one of these organizations, one that really matters to us." On the left-hand side, the girls are interviewing the man from the Islamic Council of Australia, and on the right-hand side, they're interviewing the ladies from the House of Sakina. The girls decided that the ladies from the House of Sakina was the charity that they were going to choose because this was a charity run by women, and they were women. They want to support women in business. How amazing! The next day, the House of Sakina arrived at school with their bus, and they loaded the bags onto the bus and they drove off into the distance. Now, nothing happened for about 3 more weeks after that until I received an email. And in that email, it said, "Gavin, your girls have done amazing work in the world. I'm going to press play on this video and show you what happened. Take a look at this video." This is when the girls arrived and the boys from Myanmar. They'd come as refugees, they'd lost their family, they'd lost their home, they had nothing. But when they arrived in Australia, they knew somebody cared, because they received this. Sun cream, backpacks, lunch boxes, dictionaries, folders, cuddly toys, rulers, everything that you need for your first day when you arrive in a new country. Now, I called the girls into my office and I told them, I've got a video to show you. And I played this video to them. And when I turned around, all of the girls were crying, and I was crying too. It was very emotional. One of the girls said, Gavin, I want to do this again because this kind of work is the best kind of work we can possibly do. Not only did they do their schoolwork, but they also changed the world along the way. And I want to finish with this. If you like this kind of work, if you want to change the world through education, then on your screen you have a QR code. If you scan that QR code, then you will join my online school where I have about 150,000 students, and you can join the work too. It's completely for free, and we can all do work just like this together. So, Upschool is its name. Scan the QR code, and you will find me there as your teacher, and you might even find Sophie there too. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. I think it's now time for questions. If anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Sir Gavin?
Yes, hello. How are you?
I really like the work that you do. Can you do the very same thing, the charity backpacks for the children of Gaza? Your girls said that they want to do it again. So why don't they give all of the another load of charity backpacks to Gaza?
That is a very, very good suggestion. I like that suggestion, yes. Let me try that. I will try that. Thank you very much for that wonderful suggestion. Any
Hi,
more
Gavin.
questions?
My
Hello.
question
How are
is,
you?
what is the long-term plan for these students? What do you plan on doing later on? This is a one-time thing, right? So do you have something for them in long term?
Well, these students have now graduated and left my school, in actual fact. So they were in grade 6 and they went off to high school. Now, when they graduated from year 6 going to high school, they made a speech. And in that speech, they'd previously wanted to become doctors or surgeons or lawyers or work in a bank. But suddenly, they wanted to work for charity because they knew how good it was to do good in the world. And then all they wanted to do is do good. And therefore, we changed their mindset. I don't know what they're doing now. I'm sure they're very successful. But all I wanted them to be was to become good people and realize how good it feels when you help somebody else.
Even I'm a teacher, and I want to know that what specific methods or approaches do you use to develop leadership skills in the students?
Well, one of the biggest things that I do is I use independence. So if you want children to be leaders, and we've got Sophie here as my niece, she's an amazing leader. I've seen her with her little brother and her little sister. And what you have to do is give them the independence and the choice to have their own agency, to make their own mistakes and to try new things. If we try to teach children how to be leaders, it fails. But there's two things that we can do fundamentally as adults. Number one, you model leadership. You are the leader in front of them. You don't tell them how to be a leader. You just show them what it is like when you are a good, ethical, moral leader. But number two, when they say they want to do something and do something new they've never done before, you say yes. You give them the encouragement. You say, of course you can. You go for it. Doesn't matter how difficult it is. Doesn't matter how tasking it seems. You do that. And even if they fail, they will develop the skills for life along the journey. So our job as educators and as adults and as older students is to give them a chance to try the things that they love and let them fail forward.
That was an amazing talk by Mr. Gavin. Thank you so much. Respected audience, you can give the feedback on the talk by using the mobile app. Now I would like to invite Mr. Fazal Niazi on the stage. Mr. Fazal Niazi, a dynamic education visionary with 24 years of experience, pioneers change in education both nationally and internationally. He focuses on holistic child development, soft skills, and social emotional learning, transforming educational institutions to nurture students' overall well-being and preparing them for a rapidly changing world. Mr. Fazal Niazi.
Thank you. In my session, I need a few volunteers to work with me. I need one leader of reading. Who is going to opt for this leadership role? Sir, thank you. Inkli clapping on chair. So there are three constants in life: change, choice, and the principles. Whatever you are, not because of the circumstances, but you are because of your choices. At the different stages of your life, what you choose bring you here. So these are the three constants in our lives. Change challenges of today, as an educator, the technology, need for whole child education, then effects of pandemic, learning loss, anxiety, depression, and teacher shortage, the quality of the teachers, and their motivation. By the way, I'm not a motivational speaker, because if you have a purpose in your life, then you don't need any motivation. If you are without purpose, you daily need external motivation. So have purpose in your life. And globalization. Now we are living in an interconnected world. I was watching a YouTube channel of a boy living in remote city of Bahawalnagar, and he is doing excellent in terms of financially. So we are living now in a globally connected village. These are the top skills in demand for the next 10 years. The two are the digital literacy, live, work, learn, and navigate in the digital world, and data literacy, understand and use data. But the rest of the 8 are, I need your help if you help me to read all these.
Critical thinking,
Yeah.
analyzing issues, emotional intelligence, empathy, control, and express emotions, creativity, ideas into reality. Number 6, collaboration, teamwork. Number 7, flexibility, deal with change. Number 8, leadership skills, bring out best in others. Number 9, time management. Number 10, curiosity and continuous learning.
Continuous learning. So out of 10, 8 are about your life skills, soft skills, social emotional skills. So these are the 10 top, and from last 3 days we are talking about the 2 and the rest of also, as the man from Google, he also shared that we can learn different things from machine, but we need these skills also. And the workforce, knowledge age workers, they want empowerment and release. What Gavin said at the last, when you ask how you teach them leadership, he told us that release them. So today's generation, they want empowerment and then release to experiment. This is the data. This severe youth depression increased 28% over a 5-year period. Self-harm and suicidal ideation rate have more than doubled since 2008. 39% of adolescents will experience an anxiety disorder. These are the problems raised or arise by the way we teach. School play a critical role in promoting the health and safety of young people and helping them establish lifelong healthy behaviors. 26% fewer high-risk students develop anxiety disorders after SEL intervention. Social emotional learning interventions effectively lower rate of non-clinical anxiety and depression in students. And we listen that someone, jumped from third floor. A student jumped from third floor because of that anxiety. And this is done by World Health Organization. Two important global education imperatives: developing global competencies. All of you are from the education background, or teachers, or principals, so we are doing this in the schools. And this is globally OECD PISA Global Competence Model, 4 dimensions. It's all about life skills. If you are from IB school is more focused on life skills. You water what you want to grow. What we are watering, Either are we developing social emotional skills, or we are just number focused. Current education approaches focuses on heavily on academic performance, that many students will enter the global workforce without the life skill needed to navigate an increasingly complex and globally interconnected world. Most of the employers complain that what you produce is not, what we need. So there's a gap. They're unable to collaborate. They're unable to communicate well. They're unable to be a good team members. So, because when there is a competition, there's no love. If you want to grow love, help them to collaborate. If we keep them in competition, it means that they never, reach that point where they love and help others. Lacks purpose, failing. The present education system lacks purpose. The only purpose is to get a better job. Nothing else. So, well-being and learning, the goal of well-being is to develop people who are good at learning and good at life. It focuses on purpose, meaning, connectedness to others, and making a contribution beyond yourself. I skipped few of the fear defeats more people than any one thing in the world. And we keep them in a fear. We teach them under the influence of threat and reward. So the study tells us that the students in this age are with more cortisol levels as compared to any other time in the history because of this fear. And long-term impact of childhood mental health: poor mental health impacts brain development. It impacts the brain development if we keep them in a fear. All students need new skills for college, careers, and citizenship. Schools haven't changed, the world has. And so our schools are not failing, rather they are obsolete. Even the ones that score the best on standardized tests, this is a very different problem requiring an altogether different solution. We call it leadership. Soft skills, it's a non-technical skill that describes how you work and interact with others, the teamwork, communication. Interpersonal skills, the ability to communicate or interact well with others, people, verbal and non-verbal communication, and listening, empathy. And psychological skills, a person's ability to deal effectively with the demands and challenges of everyday life, mental wellness, and balance. Social emotional skills, self-awareness, understanding your emotions, and life skills. career ready and life ready. Manage yourself and lead and inspire others. And this is globally growing recognition of the need of SEL in education. Maybe all of you heard that Bloom's taxonomy, but Maslow comes before Bloom. If we just keep working on Bloom and not the needs of a person as a human being, then the kind of people we produce will always competing with each other. And our society, display this very clearly on the road. So these are the organization, OECD, UNESCO, CASEL, they are working on, and they are recognizing this, as UNESCO said, that this is the very basic need of each child to be taught on social emotional learning. Through social emotional development, people acquire and apply the knowledge, attitude, and skills to understand an emotion and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationship, and make responsible decisions. Rethinking education, this is 2015 research done by UNESCO, and we need a holistic approach, more holistic assessment frameworks, and teachers should be encouraged to time up. Okay, thank you. Well, I'll finish and this on one video. Yes. So any questions? Yes. How can anxiety and depression has become of many factors? You have mentioned only teaching. How much is teaching contributing? Yes. As teachers, when we label them, when we compare them, when we bring them into a phase where they feel little insecure, this is because being a teacher, you have the capacity to change their brain. And communicating their worth and potential is one thing which helps them to become a person. So if you are communicating their worth and potential in a positive way, or either you're communicating that in a negative way. So being a teacher, when you communicate, when you compare, when you label them, that increase their anxiety levels. If I start comparing you, all of you, just right now, your body temperature, your body chemistry start changing immediately. Because cortisol is the chemical releases when you feel danger, when you are being compared. So this is how we are responsible for being a teacher. How students best learn and practice life skills in hands-on and experiential way. Yes, but if you don't model as teacher, they don't. Keep on telling them, but it's not effective. You need to model what you want to teach. So change starts with me. If you think that problem is there, this very thought is the problem. We need to change ourselves as teachers. We cannot teach them the way we were taught. We need to change our style of teaching that helps them to learn differently. The pressure of parents and the education system is the main reason for anxiety and depression. What's your take on this? I had many sessions with parents and with schools both, and they blame each other. So I conducted surveys in different cities with parents, and they put or place rigorous academics at last, financial well-being the second last, and social emotional learning. The first 8 were about decision-making, time management, intrinsically motivated learner they want to see in their children. And then I conducted the same with the teachers, and the results were same. It means that we are under, I was discussing just before this session, that we are living in a society where we do things under social pressures. For that, we need to take risk. We need to be a little brave to do differently. That's the pressure of parents. This is the last question? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
That was a very insightful talk by Mr. Fazal Niazi. Thank you very much. Dear audience, you can give your feedback using the mobile app. Now I would like to invite Dr. Fareed Panjwani on the stage. Dr. Fareed Panjwani is the Dean of the Institute for Educational Development, Aga Khan University. He is also a faculty at the UCL Institute of Education in London, where he was working full-time as a founding director of a research center on education in Muslim context prior to moving to Pakistan in 2021. Dr. Fareed Panjwani.
Thank you very much. And I'm very grateful to the organizers for this opportunity. You see, societies, by and large, are run by the elites, even in democracies. So the quality of elite, whether the elites only work for themselves or they work for people, is extremely important. And if this is true, then the institutions like schools that are responsible for the quality of education of the elite becomes extremely important in the society. That is why I think the name of this conference, Schools of Tomorrow, is very, very important. And that is why I feel particularly privileged and honored to be here and to have the opportunity to share some thoughts with you. I will take this opportunity to speak about leisure, in praise of leisure. And I'm going to speak about how leisure is connected with some of the goals we want to achieve, such as critical thinking and creativity. By leisure, I mean the time that you, I, our students have totally for ourselves whatever we want to do in that time. It's like, you know, in economics there is this idea of disposable income. So you get an income, then you have some necessary expenses that you have to make. And what is left, which you can spend as you want, it's called the disposable income. That's what I mean by leisure. So, to begin with, we have this quest for 21st century skills. We already talked about it. The list was shared as well. And in the 21st century skills, I think critical thinking and creativity often really stands out. Wherever I go, the books, the policy makers, media, that's what is spoken about. I personally think the word skill is not right for this. Critical thinking and creativity are human capacities rather than skills. Skill is when you learn how to cycle. Critical thinking and creativity is not like that. But still, let's leave it. Now, there was a philosopher. His name was Heidegger. He lived in Germany, 20th century. Heidegger gave a wonderful analogy. He said, look, imagine an ironmonger. You know, ironmonger, what they do? They go, he will go to his workshop, or she will go to her workshop, pick up the hammer, and then start punching whatever he or she is doing. We do these kinds of things in other aspects as well. And he says that, look, every day, if the hammer works fine, the work he wants to do is okay, he will never think about the hammer. Hammer will be just like an extension of his hand. It happens with our cars as well. We just sit down, start the car, and go. And then he says, one day, when this person hits the nail or whatever, and the sound is not right, then he will look at the hammer. And he says the hammer then becomes an object of inquiry. Just like it happens with our cars or anything else. When they don't work, we start to pay attention. Breathing is another thing. We breathe all the time. We don't pay attention. And suddenly, if there is a problem, then we pay attention to it. My sense is the reason we talk so much about creativity and criticality is because we are failing to really produce it. It has become an issue. If it was very natural for schools to really produce critical thinkers and creative, we would not be talking about them. So that's the reason we are talking about it. And I think perhaps one of the reasons we are not able to do is that our aims and desires to do critical thinking and creativity does not match our practices. Maybe that is the reason I want to propose. And that's what I want to build on in the next few minutes. So now, if you look at critical thinking and creativity, what are the activities in human life which really demonstrated par excellence? What are the activities that are epitome of creativity and criticality? You may have your list. I want to suggest that there are 3 activities that really are the epitome of criticality and creativity: philosophy, science, and the arts. Yeah, if you think of human history, philosophy has always been seen as the par excellence exercise of criticality. Science needs creativity and criticality, and the arts also need criticality and creativity. And these are all rooted in our capacity to reflect and our capacity to use imagination. Philosophy, science, and the arts. If you're unable to reflect, if you're unable to use your imagination, you can't do these things. Now, what do these things consist of? Reflection and imagination. I want to propose that there are 4 foundational ingredients that allow you to do reflection and use imagination. What are these? Time, leisure. If you just don't have time and you're running from one thing to other, you cannot do it. Attention, being able to sit down or focus on something. Curiosity, if that is not there, nothing else can happen. You can pass exams, but that's about it. And conversations, because these things happen in communities, in teams, you converse. Let's look at each one of them in some detail and what we have done with them. First of all, let's look at attention span. There is a crisis of attention span. A few years ago, I was told, well, kids cannot concentrate for more than 20 minutes. Then it went down to 15. I think the latest one is 3 minutes. 3 minutes? It is, if we don't take care of it, it will go down to 30 seconds. You cannot produce anything worthwhile if you cannot pay attention. You cannot even have good relationships because even relationships require care and attention to each other. Look at curiosity. That old joke that a child used to ask parents about questions, and after some time the parents say, look, don't ask the question. It's really true. You can see the difference between a 4-year-old asking questions, and 11, 12-year-old. The questions are dead. The questions are only important because they come in the assessment and examination. Our system kills curiosity. And perhaps we are the most busy generation in history. In my previous job, I suddenly noticed when I had a new assistant that all my appointments, if anybody wanted to meet me, the appointments that were given were 3 weeks, 4 weeks later. So I asked this person, why is that? I am available. And he said, no, sir, you are the director. You need to appear busy. Otherwise, it cannot work. I think it has become fashionable. It's a status symbol. Yaar, mere paas time nahi hai. You see? And that is a major challenge we are facing. And finally, the fading art of conversation. Social media, by creating social bubbles and by putting us in a situation where we are fighting publicly, makes it very difficult that we can hold conversations. We can contest, we can debate, but not converse. Conversation is a different thing. So, what do I propose? The more pedagogical ways of doing things and what can be done, I will reflect on if there are questions, but I think teachers in their context are the best to work out what to do and how to do. I wanted to just bring to your attention, what is important, what needs to be done. So I want to propose a small model. We like creating models. And the model is TAC, T-A-C square. We like these kinds of things as well. What it means is that we need time to pay attention, time to pursue curiosity, and time to engage in conversations. We need to develop our scheme of works, our curricula, our school environment and context in such a way, therefore, both for teachers, because time is an issue for teachers as well, for teachers as well as for students, there is a time to pay attention, time to pursue curiosity, time to engage in conversations. We may not be able to do it in higher classes because we are constrained, but I think at lower classes when the character and the mind is being formed, perhaps these things can be done. And what happens when you do this? Then you develop the capacity to, this is not working. The next line was connecting back to what I said earlier, that when you do this, that's where you can reflect. And that's where you can use imagination. Because when you have time, you pay attention, you follow your curiosity, that's when you are reflecting. And you are conversing, you are thinking. You are reflecting on your ideas. And that reflection and that imagination that is what can create criticality and creativity. And then my last point that was connecting was that a society that and a schools that can promote criticality and creativity, they then can be the source of that philosophy, science, and the arts that I mentioned. So in that sense, I believe if we want to pursue creativity and criticality, we need to find time for these things. Because it's through these activities that the mind is able to reflect and is able to use its imagination, which underpins both criticality and creativity. Thank you very much. Can creativity of a child be increased or decreased by people around them, just the case as in time span? I think it can be. You know, research after research has shown that screen time matters, especially in early years. COVID came, and that whole research had to be put aside, because we then said, let's put. But I think chances, again, we have that we try and help the student. Because you see, the screen is actually, it seems constant, but it's actually constantly moving. The images are moving constant time. The mind is not able to concentrate, and that's what you learn. And it also makes the mind very passive, because you are just getting the stimuli, you're not doing something. My first request, if you want to do that, is to minimize the screen time, at least till the age of 7, 8, 9, when the brain is in the early stages. Secondly, there are many activities that can be done from the beginning, certain crafts. You know, crafts, even when you do crochet or others, you need to pay attention to those things. When you make pottery, you need to pay attention. Good reading requires attention. So making sure that children have lots of opportunities for these things can nurture attention. Chess is a great way of building attention span. So it can be done, but we will have to go against the grain to some extent to be able to do that. Schools and teachers are just a hurdle to the creativity, including syllabus. This is a question. Creativity is hampered by the short-sightedness of parents and students to achieve grades. How do we change that? This is a difficult one. I actually sympathize with parents, and I sympathize with school as well, because what do you expect parents? They are thinking of long-term. Especially parents, and most parents cannot leave enough for their children that they would say, even if you do nothing, you will be fine. Most parents want to ensure that their children have good jobs. Our economic system is such that if you don't have money, you will not be able to pay for your health care, you will not be able to pay for your children's education. There are serious threats. Our economic system works on fear. And it's that fear that forces the education system to then take that fear on and then work on that. Because our education system is under the shadow of economics, this problem comes in. Now again, I think higher grades may be difficult, but schools can try that until class 8, class 7, class 6, to try and minimize these influences. You were telling me, sir, that in your school, you don't have any exams until class 8. We can try those kinds of things. So I think there are limits, and I would not blame parents. All of us perhaps are parents as well in our own capacities. And until we have a welfare state economic system which takes care of old age, which takes care of health system, which takes care through taxation and public money, you are always going to find excessive competition, and that competition will trickle down to schools as well. So we do what we can, but I think we also need to criticize the larger economic system that has created this kind of world. That's about it, or? Schools and teachers are just a hurdle to the creativity, including syllabus and grades and all the subjects we teach in this school. Your take on this? Well, you see, we have what we have. The creativity is to find ways around it. Yeah? And I think a teacher can do a lot, because at the end of the day, it's the teacher and the student in the class. There is a book, and if it's not a book, it should be written, called The Subversive Teacher. That how the teacher can go against the pressures. I think one of the things that we can do is really, look, these schools that you come from may be different, but many schools that I have seen, the way they teach literature, as an example I will use, is simply that you read the story and you have certain questions that are asked. Literature is a very powerful way that after every 2 sentences you can pause and you can raise big questions. You can nurture students' creativity and criticality through that. If you take literature from that point of view and not from the point of view, great literature is great philosophy and great anthropology. And that is a resource that is available. And I think we can do this if we see our role as not simply becoming subdued to the system, but sometimes also challenging the system in our own ways. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was a great talk by Dr. Fareed Panjwani. Thank you very much, Dr. Fareed. Dear audience, you can give your feedback by using the mobile app. Thank you very much.